the best vegetable plant you'll ever grow, and treat it right, it will last forever. Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. Today I'm going to talk about walking onions, one of my favorite onions to grow. I'm not going to get into too many details on it, make it too long, because I have many videos on it, and I'll put links to those below so you can go check them out. But this is why this particular onion is called a walking onion. See why? Here are some growing in a pot, and they grow fantastic, whether they're in pots or in the ground, raised beds, anywhere. Even on my kitchen window I grow them. I'll talk more about that later. But see what happens? They start to bend, and what they're supposed to do is touch the ground and start to grow. But if they don't touch the ground, these bulbs, they'll dry out. So it's important to keep an eye out for them. As long as this is green, it is feeding off the mother plant. The second it turns brown, whoops, here it is no longer getting any water or nutrients from the mother plant. This is the time to get these planted, because this will only last 2 or 3 weeks depending on the weather. We're about almost 100 degrees today. So being that warm, it could dry out very quickly. Let me grab these and I'll collect these as I do with so many others. Now on the plant itself, the entire plant is edible. If you grow them in pots and only put a few in there, the bulbs will get quite big like a shallot, and you can use that to eat. Now remember, if you eat the bulb of the plant underground, you pull it out, you have no more plant. You can eat the baby plants. These are edible as well. Can you imagine tossing a bunch of those in a salad? Wouldn't that look attractive? But what I use them mainly for is the greens. And you can use the greens anywhere you would use green onions. You know what? I even use them where you would use white onions. They're beautiful, and I find them the tastiest onions around. I found mine on eBay years ago. I only had to buy them one time, and now they are growing all over my garden, even on the ground here. Can you see them? Just sitting by that blue bucket, just fell on the ground and started to grow. These are my favorite vegetable plant to grow. Buy them once, treat them well, and you'll have them forever, and you'll be passing them to your friends. And the wonderful thing about them is you can grow them in almost any zone. If it snows, they'll sit under the snow in the ground, and when spring comes, they'll pop back up. And if you're in an area where it doesn't snow, they can grow all year long. Here's some walking onions growing in a pot. And look at this. They're laying here on the solar fountain. What a beautiful place to lay. This one's already set root because it's been laying in the water. So you've got to get them planted, but isn't that amazing? They found the perfect place for now, and I can go collect them anytime I want to grow some more. Cool. I'm going to show you right now a bunch I collected and how I'm going to plant those. And I think it's something to think about and invest in, because boy, they just keep on going. And the idea that they don't throw seeds, but they throw real plants is fantastic. Somebody ever tries to sell you seeds, run, because you don't want walking onions that produce seeds. You want walking onions that are producing bulbils or bulbettes, whatever you want to call them, or little onions, because that is the true walking onion, because this is actually a hybrid. And if you go back to the seed version, then you won't have the true walking onion. Let's go see what I collected earlier and how I'm going to keep them alive. So I went through the garden, I picked up all these little walking onions, and I don't have time right now to plant them individually, and you can't save them, because they will dry out. Some of them already started, and this may not grow. There's a little growth there. Now they should be really separated. There's like probably 100 or 200 in here. I don't have time right now, though these are beautiful. I'm going to stick them in here, and I'm going to let them start growing, because that will keep them alive. Then at any given time, I could separate them later, but they'll be alive. So I'm going to keep some of the big ones separate, because I might do something with them later. So let's do it this way. Start taking the real big ones off, because I could put them someplace else. Get the big ones off. See, that one's dried out already. See this side one? That's what happens to them. I don't even know if this is any good. You know what? We'll plant that one. See, what other big ones do we have? Take the big one off of them. Some of them are starting to rot. You can't dry them out. They're designed by nature to fall and hit the ground from the mother plant. My goodness, that's a truck. And then they're supposed to hit the ground and start growing. But most of the time they don't hit the ground, plus they may not have enough water. Let's just get these in here. Now, technically I can separate them, but I can do it later, so it won't matter. I can just leave it. The main thing is keeping them alive. And then later on, I can decide what I want to do with them. See, I've got a big cluster here. Any of them that are on the bottom will twist their way up. But as long as they're watered, they'll stay alive. But they're not going to grow really good this way. But we can extend their life until I want to plant them in what? 100 little cups? And that, I don't see. Even this little one, these will grow. I'll just stick them somewhere. I don't even think I can fit all these in here. This way they'll set root. And then I can always dump them out and move them later. I've got them all over the yard. See, this is rotten. I don't think this is any good. We'll just shove it in there anyways. Let's see. See, a lot of these rotted or dried out. Some of them I tried to re-soak to bring back to life, but they're not going to. We don't even have to be that fancy with them. These will grow, the big ones will grow really nice. Stick some of the big ones in the middle. I have so many big ones, more to collect. It's amazing when you start growing walking onions how much you end up with. They winter really good. If you're in a place that gets snow, what will happen at that point is they'll go dormant, and then as soon as spring comes, they'll burst back to life. I'm going to start dumping these in here. I'm trying to get them right side up if possible. I might set up a second one. But I have so many others. See, this is dried out. We'll stick it in there anyways. If it doesn't grow, it'll just turn into compost. So I don't worry about that. Boy, there's so many. Really unique plants because they don't throw seeds. Once in a while, they start to revert back because they're basically, from what I understand, it was a hybrid. And if they revert back, they might throw some seeds, but then you don't have walking onions anymore. So don't let somebody sell you seeds because that doesn't work with these. And then what I'll do with the second ones, the big ones, I'll put them in their own pot. They're really nice. You can grow them on your windowsill too. Just don't overwater them because they'll rot. So just water them as needed. Now here's some pointers on growing walking onions on your windowsill. Put a couple plants, bulbs, in a pot and keep them well watered, but make sure they drain well and don't over soak them or they will rot. Now if you don't get any sunlight in there, like right now it's not getting the sun, they grow really skinny, but boy do they still taste good. If you have a windowsill with a lot of sun coming through because they love the sun, then they'll grow really big, nice and thick, and you'll have onions, beautiful onions on your windowsill. You can always take the pots and sit them outside during the day in the winter if you have a nice warm day, and then you can bring them back in the evening. So you can rotate them around. Think of them as a house plant that needs a little extra sun and good drainage. I'm propagating mushroom plants with them here on my windowsill. This is way too many in here. I could put these in a small pot, whatever grow. Now what I'm going to do with these, sprinkle soil on top, because now keeping them damp and draining good, they'll take off and grow. They taste so good. I think they taste better than green onions, but I would compare them in flavor to bunching onions or green onions. That's it. Now a good watering, and then just set them aside. Outside I'm going to leave them and let them do their thing. Now all I have to do is keep them watered and they're going to grow really quick because look at this. Just a few days later and they're popping up. Now there's going to be too many in here and I will have to transplant them later. But for now, I can still harvest them as they grow and just leave them until I have more time to transplant them all in small pots. Now, since there were so many, you don't need to watch the whole 10-minute video on this. I took soil from other containers where I grew lettuce or whatever, and I just took the used soil because the walking onions aren't that particular on what type of soils. I used all that used soil and filled up some milk cartons, and now I'm just going to top the leftover ones I didn't know what to do with, but this will keep them growing so they won't dry out. And I'm just going to top it with some soil here, give it a good watering, set them aside, and that will keep the bulbs growing so I can move them later. They will get root bound, but they'll keep growing, and I can move them when the time is right. And there they are. In a couple days, they start popping up, but they will need to be transplanted, or I can leave them and just use them like that. So let's walk over and see what's going on here real quick. There are those you just saw in that 1 gallon trash can. I think it's a gallon and a half. And here's another way of growing them. This is a soap container. Don't throw them away. Look at, you can see the roots growing. 1 bulb put in there. Oh, just about a week or so ago. Look how quick it's growing. All you have to do is cut the top off, give it some good drainage to the hole in the bottom, and it will grow. Isn't that something? Grow it in anything, and that I'm leaving outside. And as far as my helper today, see where she's sitting? She's not dumb. She knows exactly what she's doing. Because look at the temperature, and she is not getting on that hot wood. She is going to sit in the shade today and watch me do a video. Right, Zoe? With that, have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.